What we are going to repair today is how to replace the wheel pedal, wheel bracket, and wheel fender, and replace the entire line. First, find the tools. We first remove the footrest. After removing the surface, we find the tools to remove the 7 screws below. When removing, remove the cover. Pick up the front and gentle swing the back left and right to remove it. We use scissors to cut the heat shrink tube of the charging port. Unplug first so that we can operate it easily. And then we remove these screws and remove the screws on the top. After removing it, we pick up the bottom cover. Take off the black cover and put this waterproof pad here. Now we need to find the wire ends of each part of the back to repair it so that we can remove it. Pull out all the wires first, including our battery, and push it forward. After pushing it, we take out the battery. After taking out the battery, we start to find the wires at the back. Now we start to repair the rear fender video. When we put these batteries, we must put it well, or we can put it here or here. As long as we find the wire, we can put it here to prevent the battery from falling off and hit the ground, which will cause damage to the battery. You can put the battery here. Now we can put our wires on the side. Now we need to remove the plastic decorative cover here to replace the fender. After removing it, the wires of our fenders are exposed. We find it out the way here and pull it to make the wire move. After we know which joint it is, we cut the heat shrink tube of the joint and then pull our wires out from here. After pulling it out, this is our heat. And now our wheel fender wires goes in from here. We wear it. After it come out, we also need to find the tools to remove the wire buckle that fixes our fender wire at the back. After removing our screws, wire buckles and nuts, we put them aside first. The fender wires has been disassembled. Now we need to replace the fender. We still use the corresponding tools to loosen the screws that fix the fender with the nut. There are 2 screws in the same position here, and we also loosen them. Now we have removed the windshield. If we need to replace the lamp, we can remove the wires from the several cross screws inside and replace the whole lamp. If we want to replace the whole shield, we just don't need this set and install a new one. Now we start to replace the wheel pedal. We can tear a corner of the silicone pad on the wheel pedal. Ours is double-sided adhesive, so it doesn't matter. We can pull it off directly. After tearing it off, we see a hole here. After seeing the hole, we put it in with the corresponding tool. After putting the tool in place, we rotate the screws counterclockwise until it is loosened. Okay, after our screws are loosened, we start to remove the 2 screws above. After we disassemble it below, we see a screw on this side and a screw on this side. We loosen it and rotate it clockwise. Loosen it and you can remove it. Okay, after we remove this pedal, we find the wire on this pedal and pull it. After finding it, we cut off the heat shrink tube on the front wire head and unplug the plug. We can pull this wire's head out of this hole. Now it is disassembled. If you want to replace it, we only need to open the 4 screws below and you can replace it inside. It can be disassembled. Now we just take off our light. This is the key light and comes with the car. We can take it off and then install it. Now our video of replacing the wheel pedal has ended. If you want to put it back, you can install it as you disassembled here. Now we start to explain how to disassemble the wheel bracket. We can disassemble the wheel bracket and the motor or not. If you can do it alone, you don't need to disassemble the motor. If you can do it, you can also disassemble the motor and then disassemble the wheel bracket. Now we need to take a hot air gun. We have glued the screws on both sides, so we need to blow it with a hot air gun before disassembling it. We disassemble this side first. After heating, we need to use these tools. It is too long and not too strong enough. We first use a 7-shape wrench with a little more force to disassemble it first. Using this may cause slippage and make it difficult to disassemble it later. First, use this shorter one with great force. We put it here and hold it with our hand to feel this strength. If it can be twisted, twist it. If it can't be twisted, we continue to hit it with a hot air gun. After blowing, we can disassemble and twist it. After twisting, we use this one that is easier to twist to speed up the speed. The same is true for the parts of this side. During the braking process, we can pull up the brake line and we can't let it be stressed and brake by hot air. After we bake these 3 points, we also use a 7-shape tool with great torque to loosen it. The direction on both sides are different. One is this side and the other is this side. Don't tighten it more and more toward this side. After loosening, we use this long chain tool to disassemble it faster. After we disassemble this, there are 3 screws on the back. If it is difficult for one person to operate, 2 people need to help. One person needs to help you. We can slightly tilt the front at this angle. One person holds the battery, otherwise the batteries cannot be separated from these 3. Then heat it with a hot air gun and blow it off. After heating, we also use a 7-shape wrench to loosen it first, and then use a faster tool to disassemble it. We remove the last screws. After fixing these screws, we must remember to hold the iron from our hands to prevent it from falling off and heating. After we disassemble it, our car can be turned over again. Now we find a flat blade screwdriver. We have waterproof glue inside. We may not be able to knock it off if we knock it hard. First find a flat blade screwdriver, find the gap, knot each part and expand the waterproof glue. It may expand a little, which will help us disassemble it better. Similarly, don't knock too hard. Knocking too hard will cause our car body to deform. Just have a gap. After we pray with a flat blade knife, we will use this rubber hammer to knock. It is best to have someone to hold it because the center of gravity at the back is heavy. After knocking, it will fall over to prevent the back from falling to the front. After we knock it off, the frame has been replaced. After the rear frame is replaced, wait for a while. Okay, our shock absorbing female frame has been removed. This is the motor line that connects the shock absorbing bracket. If we need to replace the motor, we can remove it. The barrier goes in from here. Come out here. If you don't need to replace it, we just put it on top and don't worry about it. If we need to remove the motor line now, we just cut off the heat shrink tube on the motor and cut it off. We can just pull it out. Now our motor line can be removed. If our motor line is broken, just cut it off with scissors and replace it with a new one. But before cutting, you must remember these 5-ear protection wires. If our motor line is broken, just take scissors to remove it. When cutting, first look at the socket of our ear protection line. This sequence must be remembered. Don't plug it in the wrong way. Plug it in the wrong way will cause the motor to make abnormal noises and not turn. We first use scissors to cut it off. After cutting it off, we pull it out. During the pulling process here, the motor wires need to be pulled out one by one, and they cannot be pulled out at one time. This is our broken motor line. After the broken motor is pulled through, we can take out the waterproof ring first. After the waterproof ring is taken out, we first take the new motor line and put it through. After putting it through, we can put it through regardless of whether it is positive or negative. After passing it through, we pass it through from this side. After turning it over, we will leave a length of about 1 jump later. We can connect the wheel motor later. When it is long, we can push it in. If it is short, we can pull it out. It should not be too long or too short. Now install the waterproof ring first. When installing the waterproof ring, we need to find our tool. If it cannot be installed, we can spray our D40 to lubricate it. It will be easier to install. Then use our tool to squeeze it in. After spraying the 40, our motor line will be much smoother and easier to pull. After installation, we just check whether it fits well. If we need to replace the shock absorber core, it will be the same as the previous video. We can remove the 4 side screws to take off the shock absorber. If we don't need to replace it, we can install it directly. When installing, we need to clean the glue on the inside of the big board, and then we apply double waterproof glue to make it fit better and waterproof better. After cleaning the waterproof glue on the back, we take our glue gun and apply more glue on both sides. After applying our waterproof glue, we can install our wheel bracket. After the wheel bracket is knocked in, we need to apply 50245 glue to each hole, or we can apply it with our screws. We apply glue here and install it. If it doesn't match during the installation process, we can use a hammer to tap it gently. After it matches, we will screw the next thread. First, align the screws and then tighten them. Now start to install the wheel pedal. There is a hole under the wheel pedal. You can thread the wire. After threading the wire, we find the corresponding screw. Okay, our 2 screws has been tightened. As for the screws below. You can screw it now, or we can turn the car over and install it at the end. Then we will install it first. The bottom screw is good. After tightening it, we will start to plug in the earth muffs of the motor wire and insert them in order. Okay, now the whole wire of the motor has been plugged in. Let's put it aside first. Now we'll start to install the iron fork at the back. After putting on the arrow, if it is not tight after knocking, we can use the large aluminum. The aluminum sleeve or this aluminum sleeve is directly on it. We can use a hammer to knock hard, which will help it to knock more in place and will not damage the nut. Okay, let's start to install the nut now. Before installing the nut, we put it on and apply 5042 glue. We must tighten the nuts on both sides. After tightening, we can start to install the model. The model wire is passing through the model wire first. The gap with the model wire should face down. That is, it is installed in this way. After installation, first fix it with the drum brake, and then install the hooks on both sides. After the hook installed, put on the nut and continue to apply 5042 blue glue after tightening. After that, we start to install the fender. First, we find the fixing screw and nut. This is the nut and screw that fix the fender taillight line. We also need to apply glue. After applying the glue, we tighten it first. After tightening, we start to install the fender. We can pass this line out now. We can also put on this fixed wire buckle before thread the line, but we still put on the fender line. Before putting on the fender, we need to apply blue glue at 4 points. After applying the blue glue, we install it and tighten the screws to make both sides fit in place. Now we start to install the wire buckle, the wire buckle that fixed the tail line. We first pass the wire buckle through here. After passing through, we clip it in from the top, print our nut and tighten it from the outside. After tightening it, first use our tool to tighten the nut inside. After locking it, we pass through the tail line through the hole first, and our two wires pass through from under the battery together. Now put on our heat shrink tubes. Plug them in relatively. First, plug in the motor line or the ear muff line is okay now. This is the color of motor line, and then our ear muff line. Check it if the color is correct. If not, plug it in. This is our fender, and this is the line on the pedal. Now we turn on the machine to test whether the motor is rotating correctly and whether the rotating light is on. If the normal light is on, it is normal. This is the normal light of the brake light. The brake light on this side is also on, which is normal. After it is normal, we can see if the front motor can still rotate. We first plug in the motor line on this side. After plugging it in, we start to test the light, test whether the brake is broken, and whether the light will be on. After both sides are lit, we test whether the motor will rotate. If the two motors rotate, it means that we have connected it well and can be installed normally. Now after we test the light and the motor can rotate, we start to install the front again. First, blow up the heat shrink tube. After blowing, we start to install the controller in order. Press our line and apply waterproof glue to this position. After applying the waterproof glue, we put the waterproof rubber head. After the waterproof rubber head is installed, we install the bottom plates. Now we install the brick line. We use the wire buckle to clip it on the side. After clipping it, we start to cover it. After we clip the decorative cover in place, we need to pull the wire here to give it enough place. We start to screw the screws again. Now it is the decorative cover here. We need to pull the motor wire here a little bit. Let the wire go back a little bit. The place of the wire buckled should be in this position as much as possible, so that we can buckle it well. First, press it like this to help us to install it, which will be easier to install. If it is not easy for us to install, we can free it up so that the decorative cover will be easier to install. Now that we have finished the installation at the back, we start to install the bottom cover. Put the heat shrink tube on the charging port, and then use our waterproof apply glue on the side. You can apply more glue during the application process. Shaking it will be more waterproof. Now, blow the heat shrink tube well. After blowing it well, we can cover the bottom cover. First, take a picture of the back, then pull the charging port cable down a little, and then bury the two front cables in here. If waterproof glue is needed in the front, we can also apply waterproof glue in the front. If it is not necessary, we will not apply it. If it is necessary, we will apply it a little more. After pairing, we pull the motor cable and the fender cable in the back to make it fit a little tighter. Now we start to cover it. Take a picture and cover it. As long as it fits in place, we can install the screws. After we install the screws, remove the wheel bracket. Replace the fender and replace the wheel tail lamp pedal. We have finished shooting.